General Manager for Transportation Team, and I will be your MC for today. Just a quick overview of our meeting agenda. I'm going to do the introduction. We are a little bit tight in time, so we're going to expedite it. Safety moment and health and safety update, as usual, but done by Westpac. Three-light group and hydrovac presentation by Mark Dimitrasco and Michael Altimore. We do have the guest speaker today, Steve Howe, my good friend Steve. He's going to do the presentation on his end. He's going to be our guest speaker today. We do have Ishan, our department manager for fleet and logistics. He's going to do the update for the fleet. And of course, we do have our nice friends from HR. They're going to do the update for the HR team. And at the end, I'm going to do the closing and remarks. We booked this meeting till 4 o'clock. As I said, we are almost 20 minutes behind. So I'm trying to expedite it and trying to wrap it up till 4. But please bear with us if we go a little bit beyond 4. Just be patient. I hope the food truck was good and didn't put you in the food coma, because we're going to start in shortly. And I believe it's the perfect way to digest all this deliciousness. So without any further ado, I want to hand it over to Westpac and for the safety. Please join me for the safety presentation. That's my vote. Yeah.
Can everybody hear me? A simple yes would be good, yeah? For all you guys standing at the back, there's lots of chairs up front, eh? Don't be shy. There's tons of great spots. Come on, instead of standing back, it's not like a bar. Standing room only. Okay. So, spotlight on safety. So this is what I was going to go through today. Nothing unusual. A couple of interesting topics to share, of course. But the safety moment, I'm going to let this play first, and then I got something to go over with you. So, video works, fingers crossed. It wouldn't be a quarterly meeting if something didn't fuck up, eh? Why is it always me? Like, honestly. I have the knack. Silence. Isn't that great, eh? One of my best presentations ever. I should just say the end and get off, eh?
Your hands do anything your brain tells them to do, so engage your brain first. Slow down and check for the hazards of each task. No matter how long you have been doing your job or how long you have done the same tasks at work, stay focused and follow 4 basic principles of hand safety. Number 1 is pinch points. Pinch points are everywhere. Machinery, tools, materials. Anything with hinges, doors, toolboxes, and step ladders have pinch points. Pay attention and be aware of each pinch point. 2 is proper gloves. Your hands can get cuts, burns, bruises, and other injuries. Handling sharp-edged materials can cause cuts. Working with some materials can cause scrapes and torn skin. Hot surfaces can cause burns. Splinters come from metal and wood. Get the right glove for the job and inspect your gloves before each use. Gloves that are falling apart or that have tears or rips don't give good protection. 3 is machine guarding. Machine guards prevent accidental exposure to moving parts. Don't take them off or bypass them. Machine guards on portable tools like lawnmowers and handheld saws prevent chopping off your fingers. Floor-mounted machines have safety guards in place for the same reason. Shut down the machine and make sure it is properly locked out before performing any maintenance. Don't wear metal jewelry like rings, wedding bands, or necklaces when working with machinery. 4. Normal daily use. Watch out for common hazards during normal everyday use. For example, don't pick up broken glass or sharp objects with your bare hands. Protect your hands when working with chemicals. Don't use your hands to sweep up wood chips, glass, metal pieces, shavings, or other related materials. Remember, use your brain before using your hands. Thanks for watching and have a safe day.
So, pretty straightforward stuff with the safety mode. I mean, our hands, yes, they are what we use the most. We're on site. This safety mode here, I just want to share a couple of highlights from it. So, safe work practices, wear the appropriate gloves for task. Make sure they're the right combination of dexterity and protection needed for a job. Keep your hands in places where you can see them. Avoid putting them out of your line of sight. Always use equipment, machine, and tool guards. Take time to remove or bend down protruding objects and sharp edges on materials before begin working. When moving materials with a pallet jack, hand cart, or truck, make sure that you have sufficient room to get through doorways, small spaces with enough clearance for both equipment and your hands. Don't wear any rings when working. A ring caught in machinery or a protruding object can severely injure your finger. Wear gloves to protect from broken glass, nails, or other sharp objects, including when sweeping up, and never attempt to handle these things with your bare hands. When working with others, make sure to communicate to let each other know if you're out of the line of fire before moving materials or starting up an equipment, and don't count on your reflexes to save your hands. Excuse me, we talk about hand injuries on a regular basis. They are creeping up to one of our number ones in the region, in both regions actually. We've got a full-time glove policy. We've got lots of access to good quality hand protection, yet we're still getting hand injuries. We had one in the mechanical region. The guy was using a portaband. The saw was still turning. He grabbed the blade with his hand, with his glove, while the blade was still moving. Holding the object in one hand, cutting with the portaband. So things like that. I mean, they're getting your hand in the line of fire, not paying attention to what you're doing, and using the wrong gloves. We've talked at length about these gray high flex, I forget the model number now, that we're not using in the region. We've got lots of good gloves, lots of quality stuff that you guys can be using. This glove chart I've included on, I don't know, about every other supervisor call in the last number of months. When you need to pick hand protection for the job you're doing, contact a member of the safety team. We'll help you select the right glove for the work you're doing, right? Don't guess. That's why we have this stuff. Working right now at getting a better guidance for cut level, but we have a pretty good standard glove that myself and the other members of the safety team have selected as kind of our general purpose glove. It's a cut level 6. It affords really good dexterity. So stay tuned for that to be coming out in the next supervisor call. But again, hands, we need them for everything we do. Probably the most used appendage we have on the job. And we got to protect them, right? Either keeping ourselves out of the line of fire, but also making sure when we do need hand protection that we're selecting the right level of hand protection for the job. Okay? So, excuse me, statistics. Wouldn't be a safety meeting of any type unless somebody from the safety team addressed statistics. So this year, calendar stats, we've had quite a few hours within the Southern Ontario Utility Region, just over 500,000 man hours. We've had those 3 recordable incidents this year. We didn't have any in the month of in the month of July, which is great. And, we're improving. The rate is going down on a regular basis. The fiscal year, our hours from November, they're up over 600,000, and that's how we're measured corporately. Our friends in the U.S., they're having a great year now. They had that lost time accident. I went through that before. with you guys, and since they haven't had any injury incident at all. No medical aid, no first aid, or anything. So they're back on the right track, which is good to see. Not a huge amount of hours down there in the U.S., but it's still a steady operation, and they're still supported by us here in Southern Ontario. And Terra, here's a group to keep a watch on. They're working damn near the same amount of hours as we are, but look at the safety stats they have this year. They're really having quite a good year. They've had the 2 recordable incidents. Their total recordable incident rate less than 1. I mean, that's what our corporate goal is less than 1. So, you know, they're doing the same work as we. You know, they're in the trenches, they're in the vaults, they're, you know, rebuilding stuff. They got line crews. You know, it is the same work, right? So keep watch on what they're doing, and maybe we can learn something from them. Oops, sorry. So total, when you combine everybody together, you can see it's just a great amount of hours that we've had here in the region so far. From January to the end of July, we're over 1 million man-hours, so, which is excellent. Ton of activity. It's great to see all that work happening here in Southern Ontario. So we just got to keep driving that incident rate down and get it below 1. First aids, medical aids, anytime you see a number on any of these slides, it's one of our colleagues has got injured, right? And that's what everything we do is to prevent those injuries from occurring. A couple of trends I'd like to share. Just showing you the injuries by number of years experience. The elder workers, I guess, would that be me? I'd be included in an elder worker. We've got 4 of them. These 20 to 25 years experience. These are the ones, the guys with extra experience that we rely on to help guide the younger folks. But the 3 to 5 year and 5 to 10, you know, we've got 7 of our workers injured. So keep this in mind, supervisor, when you're assigning work, and make sure we're pairing up the right teams together. So mechanism of injury, so that's how it happens. A couple of ergonomic events, but the caught on, caught in, and caught between, those are all injuries that relate right to hand injuries. Every one of those is somewhere where somebody's putting their hand in the line of fire somehow. And, oh, there we go. Just keep flashing there. So this is why we're focused on hand injuries this month, is to get that corrected. The days of the week, Wednesdays and Thursdays. So Wednesday's the middle day, right? Thursday's the day where for a lot of us it's Friday. It's the last day of the week, but too many injuries are occurring on these 2 days, right? We got to, and you look at the times of the day on the other side of the slide, 9 and noon. And what's the thing is common with that is we ask you to stop when you're changing your work activity. You're stopping at coffee time, you're stopping at lunchtime. This is when you need to readdress the hazards, have a look at what you're working as conditions change, and then make appropriate changes to your work plan to try and prevent these injuries. Far too many happening on the days when we're at the middle of the week and, like I say, the day that we're winding down. The top causal factors that go along with these, failure to identify risks, failure to follow safe practices, task, line of fire events, inadequate planning, inadequate protective equipment, communications. Again, segues to the same thing. I've showed this slide before. It seems to be a repeat of late, but what else can I say? When we go through these incidents, we're finding the same issues are happening. They all relate to these 3 Ps, right? The process, the planning, and the personal protective equipment. And the only ones that can affect any one of these 3 are all of you in the room here. When you're, the processes that you're using, the procedures that you're implementing, and the practices, the training that you've had or lack thereof, or the equipment, if it's the wrong stuff, stop and identify those changes. The planning, the pre-job hazard assessment, that's the, that's the gold in the morning, the gold in the middle of the day. When you're working together as a team, you're identifying these hazards, and you're working together to make sure that you implement proper plans so that your job gets done and nobody gets hurt. And again, personal protective equipment. The selection of PPE these days is endless. The right gloves, the right face shields, the right types of safety glasses, all that good stuff. It's all available. It's not like it's hard to get. And a lot of places, you know, the days of having no stock, the COVID, I don't have any stock, is all gone. And these suppliers are all carrying a good amount of inventory, so it's really easily gotten. So, again, the 3 Ps, right? Let me just switch gears here for a minute. So I'd be a bit remiss in standing up here and talking to you without mentioning something about trenching and excavations. So July 19th, there was a trench collapse in the GTA. 2 guys were trapped in a trench. They had to get extricated from that trench. Well, that's good. On July 30th in King City, 1 poor guy passed away, trapped in a trench, right? I mean, these are all recent within, you know, like say 3 weeks. Awful. All the extra stuff everybody does, all the extra planning, and yet we're still having people killed on the jobs. So completely unnecessary, and it's, you know, we got to make sure that we're putting together a solid effort that we don't put anybody at risk on any of our jobs, right? And trenches, excavation, whatever, excuse me, if you're going in, make sure there's a way for you to get out. And if I'm the foreman and I'm sending you into a trench, you, your partner, into an excavation, it's my job with you guys to make sure we have a way out, right? You know, you got to plan the trench, you got to plan the excavation, obviously to do your work, but most importantly, we need to have a plan in place should something go wrong that we can get our workers out of those out of those trenches. So this safety bulletin that I've got up here, I'm just going to read through a couple of highlights, but this was issued a couple of years ago when we had some concerns with trenching in the region. So just some of the things you want to talk about, right, and think about. Working in trenches and excavations is hazardous to both workers inside and those working outside. The hazards are cave-ins and collapses, equipment or materials, including excavated soil, falling in on workers, falling into the trench or excavation, flooding or water accumulation, exposure to hazardous atmospheres, contact with buried utilities, contact with overhead lines while digging the excavation, slips, trips, and falls, being stuck by equipment, hazards related to material handling. You know, some of the controls on page 2, I mean, we have sloping. 1-to-1 is you know, a slope based on soil type. And I've seen on some sites where guys like to do the first couple of feet up and step it and then slope 1-to-1. What kind of soil can you do that in? Anybody know? What's that? Type 2, yes. Not type 3. Anybody know what type 3 soil is? Awfully quiet. I'll give you an easy example of type 3. Any soil that's been excavated before. So I put the shovel in the ground right now and leave and come back a month from now, that's type 3, okay? So you can't wing it, you can't say, well, you know, it's firm, it does this. I have the definition of soil types that are gonna go through with you, but I'm just saying, like, that's a pretty easy thing to look at. So there's no cheating when it comes to that. You know, when we're in these, we have shoring systems that support and prevent the movement of soil. We have trench boxes. Another important tool for anybody having to enter an excavation. But where do trench boxes go? Do they go 2 feet up from the bottom or 4 feet up? Where can we put trench boxes? Somebody must know. Anybody know? Where does the trench box go? On the bottom, the middle, 2 feet from the bottom, 4 feet from the bottom? Exactly, right to the bottom, right? I participated in an investigation at power generation region about, I don't know, 8-9 years ago, where they had the trench box up on a step. They made a step, they put the trench box up on the step. Lo and behold, what happened? That fucking step, pardon me, collapsed onto a worker and actually shattered his hip. So, you know, to the bottom, right? Things are to the bottom. You slope to the bottom of the trench, your trench box goes to the bottom, right? And there's no winging. You can't go in the trenches if you're not following these types of rules. Ladders, you got to have a ladder to get into the trench. Even a little 2-foot trench, there's no jumping into a 2-foot trench. We had a worker in the region a few years ago, busted his ankle jumping into a 2-foot trench, right? So, You have to have access, you have to have egress, you have to have a way to get somebody out of the trench, right? So soil types. I can share these with anybody, but type 1, hard, very dense. You can only, very dense. You can only penetrate it with difficulty by using a small, sharp object. Type 2 soil, again, very stiff, dense. You can penetrate it with moderate effort using a small, sharp object. Type 3, stiff to firm, compact to loose in consistency, maybe backfill or previously excavated soil. And type 4 is basically sand, just loose as hell, right? Put a shovel in it and it drops in. But, you know, not knowing all the circumstances from either one of these two terrible incidents, but something in here contributed to the collapse, right? The latest one, you know, they talked about the extreme weather, the instant rain that came, the downpour. That was part of trapping the worker in the bottom of that trench, right? Stuck in the mud, you know. Was there an opportunity they should have stopped a bit early? I don't know. Not commenting, and I feel terrible for the group, the company, and all his colleagues, but, you know, we have to, for this kind of stuff, when it does happen, we have to take it, we have to learn from it, we have to sharpen up what we do and make sure that we follow the right practices so that nobody gets hurt in under our watch, okay? Now, core. So I've been sharing this, supervised calls, quarterly meetings. This is our core programs that are available. They're on e-compliance. We're right in the mix of our core audit right now. The auditor is currently in Ottawa. We had a difficulty in the GTA last week where the auditor was on a job site and 2 workers were witnessed in a fall protection violation. One not tied off, one with no fall protection equipment on at all. That was a huge problem. Besides being a violation of our company policy, a violation of the Occupational Health and Safety Act, right in the middle of the audit, it put us at risk of our core certificate. Monday, you're going to be receiving an email coming out with a toolbox talk that has to be reviewed with all your crew members, signed and returned back to the Health and Safety Department before Wednesday. So because of this, we've got to refresh everybody's memory, but really in this day and age to find a worker working in a man lift without fall protection on or without a harness and being tied off, I just beside myself. I can't believe this actually happened. So, you know, no excuses for this kind of stuff, but in order to, for a corrective action for the audit, the auditor was good enough to let us implement some corrective actions, which you'll see in the memo, but also give us an opportunity with this toolbox talk to refresh everybody's memory on what we're supposed to do. So, urgent triage program, last thing, just a reminder to use this program. The nurse is there to assist, to help triage if we have an injury, and if somebody does have to end up going for medical treatment, she'll provide a report that'll assist you with any medical personnel. So far it's been working good. And remember, if you see something, say something, right? Don't walk by a hazard. If it's within your power to fix it, fix it. If it's not, identify it, guard it, and identify it to somebody who can make the change. So, there. I had to talk fast because we're late. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Make sure you're not far. Thank you, Wes. Thank you so much. As usual, it was very informative and productive. As we discussed last time, there's lots of construction activities going on in GTA, especially in Toronto and downtown area. So, as you know, and heard in the news, public are very sensitive about all this construction because it's creating lots of traffic and congestion. These days, it's just a matter of taking pictures of the job site and posting on the social media. That it's going to be all over the place. So, please be careful whenever you're doing the job. Just make sure we're going to follow all the rules and the guidelines. Let's go to the next topic of our presentation today. So, as you know, Streetlight Group is the host for this quarterly meeting. It's a very unique dynamic with that group. That division was set up for one of the major contracts we picked up back in 2020. That was with Toronto Hydro to maintaining around 178,000 assets of Toronto Hydro in the city of Toronto. It was a large contract, 15 years contract, so we set up the separate division to just manage that contract, and we start adding more contracts to that group, and lots of other stuff that we are doing under that division. So they have a very smooth operation in that group, very productive, very high safety standards. Every month we are sitting with Toronto Hydro and we're reviewing all the scorecards in terms of the safety and financial. So they're very picky about our safety. We have a great customer relationship with those guys and with the managers and with the leaders of that team, and also there's lots of opportunities to grow that business as moving forward. So please join me in welcoming Mark and Michael Altimore. Mark is going to do the presentation on the group and project spotlight, and Michael is going to do some highlights on the hydrovac division. Mark, please.
Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me okay? A little higher? Can you hear me? Yeah? Good? All right. I know you're probably mostly clapping for the hydrovac part, but I'm here to talk about the street lighting division as well. So thanks everyone for coming today. I hope you enjoyed your meal. I hope you enjoyed your games outside. And so we're just here to talk about the hydrovac group. As Afra said, it's a division set up mainly for one project, but we're trying to grow the group, and we're mainly taking care of the maintenance and reactive work that comes from that maintenance, but we do get some other spin-off jobs and spin-off work from that. So I'm here to talk a little bit about that and kind of what we've been doing on a day-to-day basis for the past 4 years after Taryn so nicely set things up for us, so thanks Taryn. So as I mentioned, daily outage calls on our Esri work order system. So we run from about 6:30 on Monday to 11 p.m. Friday, so we're not 24/7, but we're pretty close. About 1,800 calls per month, around 22,000 per year. We're doing some emergency storm grid response work with the line group getting the grid response. Maybe we have an opportunity to get some additional work out of that. Red and green construction folders, we do a lot of spot improvements, pole replacements, HPS upgrades to LED. As most of you know, Toronto is one of the later cities to adapt to the LED conversion. A lot of their streetlights are still HPS, but we are upgrading them slowly. There's about 170,000 roughly, give or take, so that'll take quite some time. There is some planned capital work as well that we get through design budget that's given from the city to Toronto Hydro. And we work with design firms, including Black & Mcdonald Design with Arjun, to kind of just help commission designs for Toronto Hydro. So just a general sales outlook for this year. As we mentioned, a lot of our work stems from the maintenance. That 43% there is our maintenance from our day-to-day calls, as well as spin-off work from that. So if we have to go back and replace a pole or head or run some new spans. So that's the majority of our work. Some of the smaller triangles there are some planned capital, spot improvement, pole replacements, some claims, a little bit of third-party stuff from our developers and other people. 9% design, which is, we're trying to filter most of that through Black & McDonald, but it's not our decision, unfortunately. And there's another little 4% there from work out of Toronto Hydro. So you can see it's predominantly Toronto Hydro, but we're trying to grow that 4% every year with some of our customers. So what I wanted to do today is talk about some of our bigger and more exciting projects. Obviously, as you saw there, like we're predominantly on the maintenance side, so there's not a whole lot of variety to talk about with some of the other groups. They have several customers and several different types of jobs. So our jobs, as you can see here, mainly in the city, and so this one, we're doing some high mass retrofits this year. So the MTO group is going to help us rebuild a high mass footing, and then we're going to be retrofitting 3 raising lower devices on the DVP and the Gardner, as well as the LED luminaires for those. So if you're driving along the DVP or Gardner and see a bunch of yellow lights and 3 white lights, that's us. Those are the 3 that we've done. So that should be happening in the next month or so. One of our larger capital jobs for the year is some work at Kipling, between Kipling and Islington, just north of Rexdale. So this is in a residential neighborhood. They want to do a retrofit of over 800 LED swap outs. So this work is in a residential neighborhood, so we'll typically do stuff like this during the day. And we have 30 new poles to swap out as well, so we're hoping to get that started in the next 5 or 6 weeks once we get the material in. Another one in Victoria Park, split into a couple phases. It's a little bit smaller than the Kipling one, but we're still pretty excited to get this capital work. We really like getting work in the same area, 100 plus heads. That really helps with our productivity. You set up the job for a few days to run very productively with all that same material. So we really bank on these capital jobs. We're happy to have them every year. Highway 27, this is a project that's funded by the city. For those of you who've heard of or worked with us on the Finch LRT, this is the very south limit of Finch and Humber College as it goes south towards Rexdale. So they're doing some pole and lighting upgrades going southbound. And there's a phase 2, which we're not getting this year, but that runs from Albion to Highway 7, and there's about 50 poles that they're going to be replacing. So nice to see they're improving the lighting on Highway 27. I think it's been needed for a while. And we also do a decent amount of work with Ontario Transit Group, who is on the Ontario Line project. Their scope is the Civil Station South package. So from Exhibition all the way to Corktown, they're building, I think, 6 or 7 different stations. And so we're helping them out with some work. We're doing some temporary lighting for them. We're working with 4214, the ITS and traffic group, doing some maintenance, traffic builds, temporary lighting. We've been doing a lot of T&M work for them as well, building panels and upgrading their sites to get ready to perform construction, and just small utility work orders as well. You know, a little bit of hydro relocations here and there. We've also involved Arjun's design group with this, and they've been doing some design in conjunction with Toronto Hydro and OTG. So we're all in this little OTG bubble together. We're doing some work, and it's nice. There's work that keeps popping up, and I think Joe's doing some work with them too. So there's a lot of work to go around on this Ontario line over the next few years. So one of our feature projects is the Allen Road Streetlight LED retrofit and ITS upgrade. So on this, we're going to be retrofitting around 400 luminaires on the northbound and southbound Allen Expressway. What's really nice about this job is that there's the ITS group is involved, as they have the City of Toronto traffic maintenance contract, and they're going to be installing queue detection devices on the Toronto Hydro poles. So this is it's a third-party attachment. They're very close, they're neighbors, but this is one of the first jobs like this. And we're also involving the engineering department. So they did a great design on the Allen. So 3 groups are involved in this, which is pretty exciting. And it's also kind of a showpiece project for the city to show that they're doing something about all the traffic congestion on the Allen and upgrading the lighting as well. So we had some design challenges. Inaccurate data for existing assets in the Toronto Hydro database. It was showing everything as running through a feeder of 120 volts when it was actually 347. So we need to go investigate every asset just to confirm. And the types of LED fixtures needed to properly illuminate were not in the design standards, so we had to change that as well. Execution challenges, we've done about half of it so far. So obviously there's a lot of traffic volume on the Allen. We had to do all the work between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. So setting up and taking down closures in that small window doesn't really leave us that much time to do the work. So definitely required a lot of careful coordination with traffic control and detailed planning of work, especially on the off-ramps, as some of them exit out onto major roads, some of them exit out onto the 401. So as I mentioned, the northbound's complete, about halfway done. You can see on the right-hand side, that is the conceptual design for the ITS solution mounted on the Toronto Hydro pole. So this is a new standard that we're working with Toronto Hydro and the ITS group to get approved. So we're just waiting on some approvals to get us to do the southbound, and then we'll be all done. And so the ArcGIS tracking has been implemented on this job. So I was really hoping Jack would be here to present this, but unfortunately he's off. But looking at ArcGIS. So we're using GIS to track this, and we've been starting to use GIS a lot more with Toronto Hydro. It gives a real-time update and for Toronto Hydro and for us. So GIS is a geographic information software, and it's software used for storing, analyzing, and mapping data related to positions on the Earth's surface. There's a lot of different sectors that use it, mostly public utilities to track information about their assets and to keep historical data for maintenance. So a lot of the different utilities will use it. Ontario One Call will use it. And they use it for route planning. Google Maps uses it, supply chain management. And for now, we're using it as a project coordination tool. Kansas City, the street lighting group there, has been using it for about 20 years. And we've begun to use it on major projects like the Allen Road. And the eventual goal is for us to provide asset management, turnkey solutions services to Toronto Hydro and potentially other municipal customers. So it's a little bit tough to see here, but if you look on the one side of the Allen, see a bunch of green dots. If you look on the other side of the Allen, you'll see a bunch of red dots. So if we load up, 5 or 10 tablets with this Allen Road GIS, you'll see in real time what's been installed. If there's any changes to the drawings, we can note it here. We can note the date that it was installed. We can note any issues. Let's say, for example, we've gone out and there hasn't been a pole there, so we just write, pole not installed. And then we'll give it back to Toronto Hydro if there's any updates, if they want us to put in a new pole, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been helpful for project coordination. For me, it's a global drawing set, so we're not going back and forth into people's pickups or binders to see what's been installed. We can see real time. I could check it. Mike can check it, Frank can check it. So that's great. Visibility of the customer as well. Eliminates paper documentation of the streetlight changeout. That's all there, it's all done. And we can use it in place of or to assist with our as-builts. So one of the things Kansas City is using it for is warranty information. So they get to see if a streetlight is out, they'll see in GIS when that exact streetlight was installed. So they'll know, okay, is it under warranty, is it not? So they can claim for some money there. So that's it for the projects. I kind of wanted to show a little update for our beloved rail side. So it's recently got a little bit of a facelift. I don't know if any of you guys have been there, but it's got a nice recent paint job. It's just finished off this week, so I don't know. I think it looks pretty nice. Not quite the Google facility, but it looks pretty good. If anyone wants to come by, we're selling tickets, and all proceeds go to 4212, so it's a great cause. But yeah, so that's our little update for street lighting, and of course we'd be remiss not to talk about Hydrovac. So I have our young man Michael Altomari here. But thank you everyone for your attention, and appreciate it.
Everybody still awake? Why'd you turn the lights on? Okay, thanks, Mark. All right, everybody's favorite topic. Let's get into the vac trucks. Just a quick reminder, we're still here. Please use us. Okay, second slide. Here we have our beloved 2 trucks. We have our 10-yard truck. The driver's Jeremy's not here. He's in Aurora right now, so working. And a second, we have our 12-yard truck, which came in June. You see that's a nice picture by the CN Tower. Adam got a little artsy with it. I don't know if Adam's here, but probably not. He was working earlier today as well. So those are 2 options. So if you have bigger jobs, if you need more to get vacked out, we have a bigger option. All right, here's everybody's favorite pie chart for the utilization, based off everybody in the region, how much they utilize the truck. So I'm not going to get into that. You guys can read that yourselves. Man hours. So far since January 22nd, when we first got our first truck. We have a total of 1,378 total man hours. Very exciting. That's why I put an exclamation mark there. As you can see, utilization reports are provided to management weekly. We'd like to keep tabs on who's using it, productivity, what's getting done. So just so you all know. Quick refresher on the calendar. Obviously, if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Michael Altamari. If you can find me on Bamboo or Outlook if you need to call me. But that's the calendar. So I provided the link there if anybody needs it. Obviously, you can send me an email or send me a message. I'll send it to you. A quick example there. That was the month of July. So as you can see, pretty good month. Obviously, if it's white, it means it wasn't booked. Pink is the 12-yard, and green is the 10-yard. So if you want to book that. On the right side is the template. So some basic stuff like PO number, where your site is, site contact. Obviously, if you want to fill that stuff up, please give us a site contact and a site number. Address is obviously good, but it'd be nice to be able to contact someone when you get onto site. If you guys have any questions with how to book and stuff like that, I realize sometimes it's not extremely intuitive. Don't hesitate to give myself or Mark a call. Mark's available at any hour. You give him a call whenever you want. Okay, into our capabilities now. And now that I know the guys aren't here, they'll kill me if I say this, but we do have remote hose. So if you guys need remote for any specific jobs, we have the capability to do that. We have, we did a 200-foot remote hose job for somebody a couple weeks ago. We could do that. Adam wasn't too happy about it, but we got it done. Obviously, please let us know ahead of time how much you need and if we need it to get done so we can become equipped for it. And adaptability is another capability. So yes, I've heard it 1,000 times. I realize we might be a little bit more expensive than other people, but we're not a subcontractor. We can work with you guys. You have a little job question already? I'll get there. We're adaptable. So if you have a job early in the morning and you need one anchor done or one pull hole, we can work around that, right? We're not a subcontractor, not going to charge you for the full day. We could suck out that pull hole for you and go to another site and adjust with somebody else and split the cost within our division. So that's something we can do. Just you gotta let us know ahead of time, right? And we can do that for you. This will answer your question. So we're currently in the process of getting an MOE permit. We don't have it as of yet. It's a process, I can tell you that. I don't know where Arjun is, but he's working on it real hard. I hear him complain about it all the time. But once we do get this permit, we'll let you guys know, and we'll be able to excavate materials that are not necessarily hazardous, but oily water and contaminated soil. So understand there's a decent amount of jobs that contain this kind of matter, so we'll let you know. All right, any questions?
What are the rules behind that? Like, so if you go to a site, you don't know if the ground's contaminated. Just like you got a job, emergency or maintenance, but say you start vacuuming, you can smell something that you know, okay, something's
Yeah, well, it's the same with a normal sub, right? It's kind of on you guys to have a report beforehand. No, don't you guys get report to the soil beforehand? No. Yeah, if something's leaking or something like that. In that case, I don't really have an answer for you, but pretty soon it won't be a problem anymore. But for now, what's that? What's that? Yeah, just I'm not. Yeah, no. Wes is here. Come on. Anything else? All right. Who's up next? Yeah.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Michael. Is it good? Can you hear me? Okay, let's move on to the next topic. Our guest speaker for today is Steve Howe. It's my pleasure to introduce Steve Howe, our guest speaker for today's meeting. In the spring of 2006, while working as a tree faller on the Sea to Sky Highway projects in British Columbia, Steve Howe suffered an unimaginable injury. During the routine operation, Steve was struck by an excavator bucket through his abdomen and dragged for several feet. The near-fatal devastating injury was the catalyst for change in Steve's life. Told he would never walk again. But Steve proved everyone wrong, as not only did he walk again, but he went back to work, and for the past 18 years, he has consulted and inspired organizations around the world as a workplace safety advocate. Today, Steve will share his message of survival, emphasizing the importance of the working safely, not just for yourself, but for others around you. Please help me welcome Steve Howe.
There we go. Well, good afternoon. So I wasn't going to say this, and then I just, all of a sudden, now you were quiet, so now I got to say this. I did talk and speak to your sister company, Antera, and they were an amazing group. I told that to a few people here, and they said, but this group is more badass. So let's see if that's true. So I'm just tucking all my bits and pieces in here. Got the dad bod going, you know? So, thank you for letting me come and be a part of your meeting today. One thing, totally understand this is completely strange and out there, but to start with a disclaimer when you're doing a safety presentation seems a bit weird and odd, but I have to do it. And so what my disclaimer is this. What I have learned over the 15 years of doing this presentation is that we're all different. And some people, and based on the amount of people in this room, probably someone in this room, is affected by talking about trauma, etc. differently. I.e., there's some people don't even care, think it's cool. There's other people, the other extreme, that can't even handle getting a needle, can't handle seeing blood, can't handle, and they pass out. So we got both extremes. So learning that, knowing that, as I go through what happened to me once in a while, or the last couple weeks, every single week, the last couple weeks, someone passes out. And it's hard to make this an effective safety message if you're passing out. Agree? So I need your commitment. If you know who you are, you don't have to put up your hand. If you know, you're like, oh, that's me for sure. When I get to the how I got hurt and the hospital visit, I give you full permission to go on your TikTok or your Facebook or whatever social media you're on, the Huck to a Girl page, whatever, right? And just scroll until I'm done that part, and then you got to commit that you're going to come back to me once you're done that. So are we good? Okay. So where this starts is June 16, 2006. I was 22 years old. I was a tree faller. And we were widening the highway for the 2010 Winter Olympics. You all watched that back in 2010? And so we were widening the highway from Vancouver to Whistler. And so, been there already 2 years. This Friday comes along, just like any other day, nothing different. Get to work, realize as I get there, and the supervisor tells me to go follow these trees in this area. And I apologize, it's the only photo I got from the RCMP. So it's a little bit blurry. But as I get there, and I'm assessing all these trees, I realize I'm up with a falling difficulty. And what it was is one of the big trees there, it was about 4.5 feet round. It was leaning towards, if the excavator was in the photo, behind the excavator towards the standing trees you see behind the photo. Behind that is the train tracks, and right behind that is the Pacific Ocean. In our contract, anything within, I think it was 100 meters of that railway, you needed permission to execute the work. So I went up to the CN representative and said, hey, here's my plan. I'm going to fall all these trees, including this tough, rotten tree, parallel to your tracks. And he said, that's fine, but can you guarantee me 100% that not one branch or part of that tree will hit the ballast, the rail, and delay my trains? And the answer I gave him was, I can't guarantee you that. I'm pretty confident, but I can't 100% assure you because it is rotten. And he said, well, then it's not going to work. I'm not signing off. So I go to my supervisor, tell him what I just told you, and he goes, well, you better figure it out, Steve, because you only got today to get this job done. Anyone heard that in your career yet? So of course, just like all of you would say, what do you mean I only have today to get this job done? Well, we have this environmental toad windowing expiring tonight, and all the other sequence of events that need to happen won't happen if you don't get these trees down. So now all this pressure's on me. I got to get it done, got to get it done. And I got a plan. Okay, supervisor, give me an excavator, give me one of 5 guys to operate that piece of equipment, and we're going to machine assist these trees over together. And I can 100% assure you we're not hitting that track. So some time goes by, machine shows up. A little while later, the operator shows up. When the operator showed up, I went, holy crap. That isn't any of those 5 guys I asked for. The guys I asked for, so you all know, had like 20 plus years logging experience. They were the right people for the job. But instead, they gave me a guy that was just learning how to run an excavator. And now I had this gut feeling. I went, oh, this doesn't feel right. If you believe TV or Discovery Channel, what tree falling is number 2 most dangerous job in the world after Alaskan king crab fishing. So you already have a scary job. Now you're putting me with a piece of equipment with a human that is not that trained and has not that much experience. Your risk levels just go up. So I had that gut feeling, and I did what I was told I could do in orientation, and all the times we have all these type of meetings that you could speak up for unsafe work, right? So I did it. And I said, hey, supervisor, I don't feel safe working with him today. You put a lot of pressure on me. I need one of those 5 guys. And he let me speak, and I said a lot more, but for time, I won't keep going. But he goes, are you done speaking, boy? And I said, yes, sir. And then he said, buddy, if you don't like it, there's the road, use it. So anger consumed me. I unclipped my falling belt, threw my saw down. I said, F you can take this job and shove it. I quit. I hike up the hill, get to my truck. I start my truck. I put my foot on the brake, and all I got to do is 3 clicks into drive, and I'm out of there. But for some reason, I felt compelled, and I seen my phone on my dashboard. And when I picked up that phone, I guess part of my fingers touched the screen. So a screensaver popped up. Take a wild guess of what showed up on my phone. And this is where I'm going to tell you and preface this now. I'm going to ask a lot of damn questions, and the faster you answer, the faster I am done with you. So, take a wild guess. Anyone else? What do you think? Yeah? Anyone else? Just one more, maybe. Say that again? Did you say a tiger? Oh, time. I was like a tiger. I said, I'm not Mike Tyson, but holy, maybe. I thought you said tiger. I was like, wow, I've never heard that one before. That's awesome. No, it was not a tiger. The first answer was right. It was my family. It was actually my girlfriend. And you see, the reason why you easily can spit those kind of things out, maybe not the Tyson or the tiger one, but maybe. Because not all of you, but most of you on your phone right now, if I asked you to take it out, but please don't, and you touched your screen, most of you, not all of you, have something that's so important in your life on your phone. Not all of you, but most of you do. And this is where your mind plays powerful tricks on you. See, that picture of my girlfriend was Melissa. And when I looked at that photo, all of a sudden it went, hey, in 15 days I have our mortgage payment due. Our car payment that I committed to pay for her, my truck payment, my sled payment, a whole bunch of different payments, because I'm not going to promote this, but I was at 22 years old. If you could give me credit, I'd take it. And so I was, am I going to afford this without this job? How am I going to tell my girlfriend that I committed and have this house and all this stuff that I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills? So in that moment, I put my phone on the dashboard and I went down the hill. I went down the hill, get to the operator, superintendent's left already, and he goes, what do you want to do? And And I said, hey, it's like 20 trees, let's just get her done. And before we go to work, I said, well, hold on, before we go to work, we better do our hazard analysis, because heaven forbid the safety guy shows up and I don't have my paperwork done, I get fired. So back then I didn't believe in that stuff, I just did it because I had to, not because I wanted to, and we'll get to that later. But essentially our hazard assessment and our step-by-step plan was this. I would do my undercut and I would get the tree to fall in the direction I want it to fall. I'd get my back cut put in and I'd have enough holding wood so this tree's still standing there. The excavator then would go up as high as he could reach. I'd go in my safe zone, and then on my hand signal, he would just maintain pressure and steer the tree where I want it to go, slam the tree to the ground, put the tree, deck the wood, rip out the stump, wash, rinse, repeat. We would just keep doing that. That's the quick version. And then all the hazards associated with it, including being hit by the machine. So now we go to work, a bunch of trees have hit the ground, and we get to this tree that you see in the photo here. I did my first step, wanted the tree to fall where you see, parallel to the tracks, which you can't see the tracks, but that's the line that I would be in. Put my back cut in, I get him set up in the tree. I go in my safe zone. My safe zone was somewhere out of the screen, but then he called me on the radio and said, I can't see you, come down the hill and I'll tell you when to stop. So where that stick man is kind of where I was standing. Now just so everyone understands, I'm not tech savvy. I was not standing in front of the tree, I was behind. I just don't know how to insert the stick man deeper into the photo, but that was about the elevation I was. So now we're ready to go. He knows where I am. And I'm going to now pretend I'm in the position of the excavator, operators run the machine, buckets in the air, trees right here, and all he has to do is pull that tree and let it go down here as he slams it down. But what happened is this. As I give him the hand signal, I seen him nod. He starts pushing, and he gets to about here. He lets go of the tree, and the tree falls where we want it to go. Doesn't follow the plan and slam it down. He just lets it go, and then rotates back towards me like this with a bucket in there. And as he's rotating back towards me, I'm leaning in my saw, and I was like, what is so important that you're deviating from our plan? There must be something so significant that you need my attention. So I'm looking, trying to see through the sun, and then all of a sudden I go, oh my God, that bucket's coming towards me. So I tried to jump out of the way, and in the air, the outside tooth, the next tooth beside it, caught me midair, slammed me to the ground, and it dragged me from that elevation all the way to the tracks of the machine. Now, I've tried to do that over the years and just explain that. Most people are like, I still don't get it, I don't understand. So what I've done is I've created an animation. So again, if you know you're a woozy-coosy person, this is an animation, it's a cartoon. But if you need to, you can look down. But this is what happened, and just in case the sound's loud, just get ready for sound. Okay, thank you. So as you see, hopefully that made more sense. Was that more clear? You're all quiet. What's going on? So from there, I get asked all the time, hey, Steve, what did it feel like? And the first feeling I felt was like electrocution bolts going through my body. Obviously, that's the nerve severing, right? But from there, the weirdest thing happened is I'm being dragged, I thought my legs caught on fire. So you look down. And when I looked down, I realized that my legs were separating from my body and I could see my boots over here. So at this point, operator unhooks the bucket from me, grounds the bucket, and then calls for help. This photo here is when they called for help. They immediately deployed a helicopter. Helicopter came, you got all the paramedics in the front of the photo there. You got the operator by my head, holding my hand, crying, saying, what do you want me to say to your girlfriend, because she thought I was gonna die on site there. And then some of my friends that work with me that called me Scuba Steve. When they heard Scuba Steve got hit by an excavator, they all came running, so they were trying to help. From there, you see the highway was shut down for the whole entire day. Again, they thought it was gonna be a fatality, so they were doing a criminal investigation first and all that stuff. Helicopter got me packaged. And this is good news, by road, it would have taken me about an hour and a half to get to the hospital. By flight, flying over the Rocky Mountains, it took 9 minutes, which was probably one of the reasons why I'm still alive today. But when we get there, I'm still awake through this whole process, and my vision just got darker and darker. It got harder and harder to see. And by the time I felt myself descending straight down on the helipad, it was like looking through like a straw. And at that point, I was tired, I was done, and I asked the paramedic, Aaron, I said, bud, I'm pretty tired, can I go to sleep now? And then I closed my eyes. And to me, this is when the journey really started. Because what ended up happening is I went into a coma. And I went into a coma for almost 3 months straight. And for me, I've learned and met a lot of people over the years that have been in comas, obviously doing this type of thing, right? And everyone's had a different story. Some have awesome dreams, some don't remember a thing, and some have had horrific dreams, and unfortunately I got that end of the straw. And to give you an idea of what I mean by horrific dreams is we've all had bad dreams when we go to bed, right? But the best part about those dreams is you don't feel, you don't smell, you fall off a cliff, you wake up, right? That kind of stuff. The difference for me in the coma is I believed in my heart that I fell asleep on the 16th and I woke up on the 17th. And I woke up in a hospital. So all the dreams I was having, I thought was reality. And the reason why I thought it was reality is because I could feel, I could smell, I could taste. And so in my dream, I was in the hospital, my family was there, so that all lines up, right? And they would do surgery after surgery after surgery, but every single time I was awake and I could feel pain, I would tell them to stop, and it was just like this terrifying thing. And so mentally or physically, I would say in this sense, it was tough. But then on the mental and emotional side is what kept me strong in this dream, thinking reality, was my girlfriend would come every day, which was awesome. But then eventually she stopped coming. And then she wasn't there. And then I was alone. And then from that, she finally came back one more time. Tears in her eyes, and she said, I'm sorry, but I can't be with a man like you. You have no arms, no legs. Look at you. And that was the day I didn't want to be here anymore. I stopped going, what else do I have to live for? What else do I have to fight for? Look at me. At that point in my dreams, I had no legs. In those dreams, I had no arms because apparently they weren't no good. And I was starting to have no reasons why I should fight anymore. Now, the great news is that was a dream. Most of those things didn't happen. But eventually I did wake up. And this is where, again, if you know you're the woozy-woozy people, I've made these pictures PG as humanly possible. But again, if you know you're the person, this is your TikTok moment. Oh, did I break it? Oh, there we go. Anybody that cared about me, this is what they looked at for 3 months, not knowing if I was going to live or die. Next slide. The first day I woke up. Why I share this photo? For a couple reasons. I wish I could have pulled that picture out a bit, because above that board it says still spinal cord injury, and then it says my weight, and in that photo I'm 76 pounds. I'm about 190 pounds-ish now, so imagine more than half of this again gone. And the reason why I share that is because people always ask me on planes and stuff, hey, what was the hardest things you dealt with? And people are very shocked and surprised. It's never the physical things, it's the mental, emotional things. And why I'm picking on this photo is that trach. I had a trach that did all the breathing for me. Yes, the trach saved my life, so it's good. But what happened was they told me, Steve, you need to have this for the rest of your life till you perish. And why the trach is so difficult and tough, guys, is you don't eat, drink, brush your teeth, you don't use your mouth anymore. Clearly I love to talk, don't get to do that anymore. Love to eat, like to taste. I do like my alcohol. Don't do that anymore. And this was now my life. But what made it harder is you lay on your back every single day, you build fluid in your lungs. The only way to clear that fluid is, guess what you do? You hit the nurse's call button, they come in, they had to handcuff me to the bed. They would take it, I swear it's not this, but it looked like this. It looked like a DeWalt shop vac that they'd roll in, pull that thing out, stick it down your throat, and suck till you're blue in the face. That's why they'd strap you, right? And that would happen every 10 minutes on the hour, 24 hours a day. And this is where mentally, this was tough. Because mentally, I went, are you serious, Steve? You're 22 years old, and you're going to have to deal with this for the rest of your life till you take your last breath on this earth. And see, this is where I feel humans, but I can't talk about you, I can only talk about myself. We take this world for granted, even the smallest things. See, most of us just believe when we want our next breath, it comes. But what is interesting through all this, and I wasn't going to go there, but I'm going there, apologize, is after everything I've been through, and you're going to see how many surgeries is coming in a sec, it's way up there. Somehow fought through all these crazy things that I shouldn't be alive for. And then this January, out of all times, I got normal influenza A, just like a lot of people get. But then it turned into double pneumonia. Then I went septic in the hospital, and I was like breathing through a straw. If you ever want to imagine what that felt like, try and run as fast as you can when you're out of breath, plug your nose, stick a straw in your mouth, and try and breathe. That's how it felt. And as I'm laying there trying to get my next breath, now being septic, if you ever don't know what that's, poisoning the blood, your expectancy of living is not very good. As I'm now, all these years later, going, are you serious, Steve? You've been cut in half by an excavator. Somehow you lived, and now I might get taken out by this. You know what made me realize again? Our next breath isn't promised, it's a gift. But every day, we take for granted that, or at least I do, or I did. And just think, if I want my next breath, I just take it. That's not how it works. But it's even interesting that even the guy that's been cut in half, I still have to remind myself of that. Next one. Picture on the right. When they put my legs back together, they used that rebar looking thing, put it back on. They did a pretty good job. If you haven't noticed, I have a 2-inch lift kit on my left leg, so I'm crooked still. A little joke I have to lighten the room a little bit, but it's real, is I actually became best friends with this world-renowned surgeon. Actually, I think is out of Ontario, which is kind of awesome that I'm here. So they flew him to BC for me, and now I'm really close friends with them. And when we get drinking, I sometimes give him that look. And he says, stop. And I'm like, dude, you're world-renowned. And he's like, yeah. And I'm crooked. And he goes, dude, you came to me in 2 pieces. We threw you on the table, and I literally went, close enough, bolt them up. And that's what you get. I'm crooked. So anyways, I still got to get him. But he, again, saved my life, so I got to love him either way. Picture on the left was just to show you. Again, one of the hardest things to deal with, doesn't physically hurt, just mentally, emotionally hurts, is I ended up, because of everything being torn apart, I had to have an ileostomy bag for the rest of your life. If you don't know an ileostomy bag, you don't have to Google it. I'll save you the trouble. It's a crap bag. At 22 years old, definitely cocky, definitely thought I was all that. We're in summer right now. First thing you want to do in the summer, at least as a dude, can't speak for women, but for dudes, we take our shirts off at the beach, right? You think I want to take my shirt off at the beach with that crap bag hanging off the side of me? Most humiliating thing. Now, to give you an example, again, we forget about this stuff or take it for granted. My first time out of the hospital, I wanted to go be a normal human, so I went in my power wheelchair to Costco to go help with groceries. And I wanted to be the guy and go pay for these groceries. And I get there and I go to lean over the counter to give my membership card, because you got to give them the membership card, right? As I leaned to do that, didn't realize the bag was full. The bag's not held on by just kids glue. It's not kids glue, but it seems like it is. And the bag fell off, went on the conveyor belt, and it went all over the place. And Costco's never busy, right? Everybody's seen it. And you know what they all said? Oh, yep, that's what that is. It's what it is. Now I got to go, now what do I do? Do I just try and power wheelchair out of the store and just leave my groceries? Do I help clean it up? I don't even know what to do. And in that whole time, everyone's staring at me. I was probably 24 at the time. I was like, holy crap. So humiliated, so embarrassed. All because what we're going to talk about today is decisions, choices. Now, if you haven't noticed, if you're trying to look, I actually, about 6 years ago, I'm on a trial study. I don't have it right now. But with that comes complications, so I probably have a bowel obstruction probably twice a year, what puts me in the hospital for 10 days at a time. But I'm taking that over the bag hanging me. But again, that's still the win. Picture on the right was to just show you when the bucket hit me in the stomach, I guess my body tried to take that energy, and it blew my femur bones out the side of my legs and fib-tib bones out the side. So that's how much sponge they used to patch all the holes in the skin that blew out. Picture on the left was just to show you, look how easily you guys are sitting today. No one's helping you. You're all good. Back then, the goal was, Steve, if you could count to 3, well, they go 1, 2, 3 and hold you up. I was finally starting to get better. But 6, 7 months in, still couldn't do that. So the next one, and I'm getting out of the hospital, and we're all good. Everyone's going to make it. We're good. But there's always engineers in the room that love charts and graphs and analytics, so I did it for you guys. So I currently, as of this January, have had 83 surgeries. I spent 90 days in that coma. I spent 247 days at VGH, almost 100 days at a rehabilitation place, and that's where I was starting to lose my mind. And I said, hey guys, can I just do this from home? So I had home care to live it, but basically 12 hours a day were at my house, but at least I was at home. But the next one's even more important to me is 64 weekends I've missed my friends and family. That it's not like, hey guys, next life I'm going to do this a little bit differently. They're gone. And then the lifetimes of challenges that I've been faced with, that, as we've all heard the saying, you don't know what you don't know, and I'm still learning to this day, which I'll share some stories later, that the challenges just keep coming. So, that's the hospital in a nutshell, what happened to me, but that's not why I flew here to come talk to you. I've learned over the years on my journey that there's not very many new lessons to be learned, there's just new people that learn these lessons. And so today I want to pick on a few things that I think you can relate to. First one, looking back at what happened to me, looking back at how I was as a worker, I realized that I took shortcuts every single day at work and at home. I'm pretty sure I'm in good company. All of us have or do take shortcuts. But what I've realized through that, there's a motivation attached to every shortcut we take. They're all different. Some of us just want to make extra money because we think that's what's the right answer. Some of us are just lazy, want to take the easy way versus the actual right way, right? There's a bunch of different reasons why we do what we do. And I had all of the excuses and answers. But what I didn't realize is the influence our leaders and managers have on our decisions. Had no idea. Had no idea when it comes to this. And I'll show you what I mean. What was your name? Ashan? Like A and Sean? Ashan. Ashan. Okay, I'm using Ashan. I like that name, it's good. So I'm going to do this little skit with Ashan. I'm the superintendent or supervisor. Ashan works for me. You don't have to do anything. He's like drinking water. Oh shit, what am I doing? You just got to look good, buddy. I just need your name. I just need to look at some eyeballs. That's it. You're good. He's like, so I'm going to set the stage, okay? We're a pipe crew. We love laying pipe, okay? I'm the super. He works for me. I want to make this management team look or be happy with me as the supervisor. I want to be productive, make us some money, right? I look at the weather forecast and I realize, man, it's Monday today. Today's the only sunny day. The rest of the week's going to be raining like 300, 400 mils a day. Most of you in this room know if it rains too much, you ain't getting compaction, it ain't happening, right? You all know that. So today I realized, okay, today's the day we're getting it done. So I say, good morning, Ashan. Hey, Sean. Is that how you say it, Ashan? Ashan, sorry, I'm terrible with names. Ashan. Good morning. He says, good morning. How was your weekend? You'll say, good, right? I say, hey, Sean, I need you to get 3 sticks of pipe in the ground today because the rain's coming. You only have today to get this job done. Do you understand what I need from you? And he nods his head. My question to this group is, what did I just say to him? By the way, there's no wrong answers when I ask questions, so don't be scared. I'm not going to say wrong, wrong. Get it done. What does that mean? Go farther. Help them. What does get it done mean? That's too loose. What does whatever it takes means? Let's go farther. Please keep going. Sorry? Let's keep going on that. I want to hear what you guys are thinking. And it seems like all the guys in the orange are back there for some reason. There's a divide. Don't get that part. I'm trying to figure that out. So you guys in the orange, I want to ask you, what does get it done mean? Hurry up. What else? Sure. I heard someone else over there say something. What did I say by that? Take shortcuts. Sure. What else? Sorry? Don't lose money. Sure. The interesting thing, we've been doing this for 14 years. I think I've been doing probably almost mostly that skit almost to the T. And you know what's interesting is none of you guys ever repeated the words I said. You know why? Because you all heard a different message. You all heard something different. Do I want you to take shortcuts? Do I want you just to get it done? Yeah, we want to get it done, sure. But do I want to get it done at all costs? No. But you all, of 200 people, heard something different. And see, what I've learned through this and how I was thinking about my past life before I got hurt. This dialogue happened all the time. And I just thought that he just wanted me to get it done, whatever it takes. Because what I did in that skit is I left too much room. It was too much of a gray communication. It was not black and white. I could have said the same thing over again, but said, hey, but do you still think you'll be able to get that done without compromising your safety? Again, a little bit corny. Probably that's not how we would really say it in the world, but for time, I'm just going to say that. If I said that and asked you, what did you hear? See, to me now it's black and white. I really want it done today. We all do. We all want to make money, but I don't want you to do it at all costs. But when we use the words like, it just needs to be done, you only have today, the rest of us assume that means whatever that means. At all costs, I don't need to tie off. Like I was hearing about the fall protection issue that it was Wes, right? I don't even know that story, but I heard it today. I wonder what conversation they had that morning. Because it could have been, again, this is just a guess, maybe it's totally off, don't know. But I wonder if that story from their super was, you only have today to get that job done. The weather's coming. And all they go is, well, I don't have my fall protection gear here. He just wants me to get it done. Because not everyone, every day in this room, nobody shows up to work every single day saying, I want to piss off my boss, right? Sometimes that's fun, but not every day, right? So none of us show up day in and day out saying, I want to disappoint my boss. And if we believe in our heart that's what's most important to you, just getting it done, you wonder why people sometimes make these mistakes or those decisions that they make. Again, all started from an influence because all they were trying to do was make you happy. Does that make sense? The next one. Actually, I want to go on down this road one more. I'm going to go a little bit farther. I decided to, sorry. But there's also a positive side to these supervisors and the messages we send or don't send. Like for instance, now I got to pick on that fall protection one. I don't know why, sorry, I'm going to help nail that one in for you if you're okay with that. As a supervisor, I want to show you one more message sent and received here. If I was that supervisor and I seen those guys in the man lift not tied off, and I walk, I'm like, man, are they not tied off? And I walk up there and I go, oh, they're not. And I go to have the conversation, but my phone vibrates because I don't know if you guys have this, but we have a 2 o'clock play of the day meeting. And I go, oh, damn, I got that play, and I walk away. He knows I eyeballed him and seen him. What message did I send? That it's okay. Because you know what you do, guys, as supervisors? What you permit, you promote, unfortunately. And by not saying something, you're saying it's okay. All 200 of you just said the same thing. It's okay. But I want to flip the script. Here's the positive side. And I do this for the company. I manage 10 different businesses under the E. Anderson Group. We do the same things from civil, bridges, structures, maintenance, we do it all. And one of the things that we do that I'm going to share with you, if you don't do, I encourage you to do it. And where I'm going to start this is this. I'm not going to give it away. What I did is I took what I learned and I applied it at home first. And it's this thing about positive recognition. And so at home, does anyone have any sons or daughters at home? Any of you guys, kids? So I have a 12-year-old that I can't get her to clean her damn room. Anyone have that problem? Yeah. So guess what? I've tried all the 10-step program books of how to be a good father, how to communicate with your child. I've tried them all, and she still doesn't want to clean her room. So I tried this tactic we use at work. That might work too. So know what I did is this. I waited, and it wasn't like it was the next day. It took 3 weeks, and it wasn't because of me. Her friend was coming over, so she actually cleaned her room so she didn't look like a slob. But you know what I did? When I seen that room get cleaned right away, I went in there and said, Scarlett, come here. I said, thank you. She's like, for what? I said, thank you for cleaning your room, and it looks so good. The way you, so this is where I went a little deeper than just good job. I love how you organize your horses from big to small. I love how you did your books this way. I love how you made your bed like a hotel room with the 3 pillows stacked like this. What I did, as I was being genuine, timely, and sincere. But what I've learned from all of this is, guess what happened the next day? Her room got clean. Because what gets recognized gets repeated. And see, if you apply this back at work, think about, I'll pick on this one as a safety guy thing to pick on. When we do safety inspections, what are we looking for? Everything that you're doing wrong, right? But guess what? You're doing a lot of things right, because if you weren't, you wouldn't be in business. But it's not your fault. You know why it's not your fault? It's because all the way from being in school, university, through your career, what are we wired to do? Look for problems and how to fix it. Not recognize the things that are going well and recognizing you for what you do. And so our ratio at work is 7-to-1. Really, you don't need to use 7-to-1. It's just more positive recognition than constructive feedback. You still need to give that feedback, but more positive recognition. Because what gets recognized gets repeated. That's proven. Right? You all want to be told you did a good job? The next one. This is the most important one, and of anything today when we're done, if you remember this for your life, I've won, and it was worth coming here. I didn't know that every decision you make can and will affect so many people on this earth. And the analogy I use is when you make that poor bad choice, it's like a rock. And when you throw a rock in water, what happens? What does it create? Ripples, yes. But this is where I think we don't look deep enough. Because the ripples become waves. Waves that you can't stop because of a choice or decision that you make. And I'll show you what I mean. This is my little chart. Steve Howe will use me. Made that poor bad decision. Boom. I went down there even when I know it wasn't right. Who does it hurt the most? The ones that love you the most first. My wife got that phone call. She was actually my girlfriend at the time. You're now the second crowd I'm going to tell her this in my life. I also didn't know when she got the call, she was the first one in the queue in the stopped traffic. And she seen the helicopter land and take off, and she didn't know it was me. Imagine hearing that as she's seeing the helicopter take off. Am I ever going to get to say goodbye to him? Because that's what they told her. Go quick before you don't get to say goodbye. It hurts the ones you love the most. Then it hurts your friend circles, your social life, your work. I thought I was going to be a logger for the rest of my life. Don't do that anymore. I hope you love what you do. All because of a decision. Now I'll show you, I'm going to pick on family for time. I'm going to pick on one just to show you. And it's a video of my dad, and what I'm going to ask you, tell me what you hear or what you see from my dad speaking to this crowd. And this is where you just got to make sure you don't blow our eardrums.
I spent a lot of time at VGH this past summer. My son was in a horrible accident, and many of you have been praying for him. It wasn't very long later that they came to us and they said, well, we want permission to remove your son's right leg. Here, at the hip. 2 of the 3 muscles that make up the hamstring of the leg, which causes it to move back and forth, 2 of them are dead. We've already removed them. We've scraped the last large remaining muscle, and there's no blood from it. There's not enough flesh to close up the wound as it is, and the nerves are so badly damaged in that area from the ripping and tearing of the excavator that there's no point. So we're going to have the 3 heads of the 3 different departments go in tomorrow morning. We want permission to take his leg. I had to leave for Kelowna the next morning before he went into surgery. And so we had to sign the permission papers for them to take his leg. At 22 years old, his whole life being outdoors, surrounding outdoors, dirt bikes and jumping, and hasn't been awake yet. And we were stunned. And we sat in head lunch. We had to sign the papers, so we signed the papers, had lunch with different family members, and they were all trying to console themselves of the $50,000 he'd get for losing his leg and whatever. I guess that's what people do when they don't know what else to do. You're in such shock. And Dan and I got in the car and we began to drive home. I hit Chilliwack somewhere around the water slide park there. I think I have every corner in that road memorized. 26 trips back and forth. And I just lost it. I looked at my wife and I said, honey, I just got to do this. And so while I'm driving, I said, God, I'm sick and tired of people saying, the nurse says, this nurse says, the doctor says, the surgeon says, they say. Everybody says he'll get $50,000 for his leg. Oh, he won't be so bad. They say. I'm sick of people saying.
So what did you see or hear from a dad? Frustration. What else? I heard anger. What else? Sad, yeah. So, the interesting thing, as I've done this a while, right? This is a journey for me too. And I was always curious when I asked that question that you never seen what I seen the first time I obviously watched it, right? And I was always wondering, why don't you see what I see? Then I realized as I've gone through this journey that unless you have been through something like this yourself or with other people, I don't think we're wired to even think this way of what I've seen. So now I'm going to flip the script on you guys and ask you a question, and I'll see if we align. For 1 second, imagine your son or daughter, or if you don't have one, that's okay, someone you love more than anything on this earth. You get a phone call right now, come quick, and see your son or daughter or your loved one. What are you going to do? Hopefully you leave this room, right? Please. But now you're at the hospital. Fast forward to this. You're at the hospital. What are you going to do as that parent, mother, father, best friend, husband, whatever that is to you? What are you doing when you're looking at that person, fighting for their life? Sure. Pray. Best care. What else? Yeah, what can you do? You can console them, yeah? Question, if you could take their spot, would you? Can you? So what are you in that moment? See, that's the word I've seen. If that was any of my kids right now, I'd take their place in the heartbeat if I could. I'd take that pain away, would you not? But guess what? You can't. That's not how the world works. But why is my dad feeling this hurt, this helplessness, this frustration? All because of a choice I made, that I thought that road, schedule, production, all the things that influence our brains was more important than him. Did I purposely wake up that day and say, I can't wait to screw my dad's life up? Probably not. But that's what I did. But here's where the ripple becomes waves. So when I got hurt, my parents, just like you would do, stayed by my bedside every day till I left that hospital, and even when I got home. But eventually my dad's company said the show must go on, pick your son or your job. And guess what he picked? Me. Eventually, good news, Steve got at least enough better that I could take care of myself. So he went to get his job back. You know what they said? Positions filled. And something that day, and I don't know to this day, and it's 2024, happened to my dad. Because he kept applying places, and they kept telling him a bunch of reasons why they wouldn't hire him. And something, there was like defeat in him. And eventually he's like, well, then I'm just going to try and semi-early retire. Burn through all of his RSPs and everything else that he had. And a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago now, he had to sell his house. And you know where he lives? In a C-Class motorhome in my backyard. All because of why? I'm not the only reason, but I started, he was on top of the world regional manager for Canada for the company he worked at. It all started because of the ripple that I created. That bad choice decision, I thought that road, schedule, production, all the things that influenced me was more important than him. Now, I'm going to switch gears for now, and I'm going to share one more ripple in a sec. But I want to show you how I think and feel today. The big difference, the big radical change in me. And I'll show you what I mean. This is my hobbies. These are the things that I love to do. I work safe, make right choices every single day. So that these photos you see, if you see me later in life, they just keep changing, doing the things that I love to do. Maybe these are completely foreign to you and they're completely different, but you all have hobbies that you would put in those photos. So I make the right choice every single day for me, not because I have to, because I want to for me. I'm going to keep going. My friends. A lot of these friends are the ones that got the call to say goodbye to me. The good news is I made it. But I committed to them that I'm going to make smart, right choices for them every day so they don't ever get that call again. So I work safe for them. Next picture. That girl on my phone is the girl that's still with me. That was Melissa. And I'll start with her. Guys, she is the cornerstone of my life. She's the reason why I did keep fighting, right? The fact that she kept coming every day when I was in a wheelchair looking the way I did and my life didn't look very awesome, she still kept coming. And so I had to fight for her. And if you haven't done this, I encourage you to. I've held her hand and said, I'm sorry. That every day before this, I didn't think of you first. You were second, third, fourth, fifth. Work was the most important thing to me. But I can tell you now, anything that I can control, I think of you first. I can't control if a plane comes through this building right now and takes us out. That's out of our control. The things that you can control, that I can control, I think of her first. Not because I have to, because I want to for me. The next one. I'm going to talk about those girls. But it starts with a story. And this story is a true story, by the way, but it helps lighten the room about a little bit as well. So what happened is I get home from the hospital, the trach is gone. Yes, I'm finally tasting food. Life is good. And I'm cutting a steak, and my wife is not eating, and she's just staring at me. And she smiles. And I said, baby, what's so funny? And she goes, I know you're going to walk again. At this point, they said, I'm not walking. We all need to be positive and optimistic. We have to be. So that was good. I cheered her on for that, right? Then she said this other line, which made no sense how they coordinate together, but I'm telling you exactly what happened in that house. She goes, Steve, I've been thinking a lot lately, and we're not getting any younger. So by the way, as per my wife, 24 is old. Where's this conversation going? Steve, we're not getting any younger, so I really think we should start trying to have kids. And then I didn't get what she was trying to communicate with me, and she keeps talking about other stuff, and I'm like, where? Walk again, kids, not making sense, and all of a sudden the light bulb turned on, like that. And I stopped her in mid-track, and I said, hold on, babe. Did you just say you want to practice with me? Because if you want to practice with me, I'll practice 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I'm your guy. Let's go. Right? So then all of a sudden, I took one more bite of the steak, and I was like, when's the last time we even practiced? I'm like, man, it's been years. Food's pretty good, but I don't know. That other thing seems even funner. So then I said, you know what, hon? You spark some stuff. I think we should go practice right now. And you know what's crazy? It was one of the only times she ever said yes when I asked. This is all true stories. Do not tape this part. So I'm going to tell you what happened, and I know you're HR, right? So this is where you got to plug your ears for a sec, okay? So after she said yes, I'm going to tell you what happened. Steve and Melissa went into our room, and I shut the door. I don't know why I shut the door. I don't even have kids. But I shut the door. And I'm going to tell you what happened behind those doors. Steve Howe had the best 15 seconds of my life. Yes. True story. But there's a point to this, HR, I promise. You don't have to yank me off. There's a real point to this. So we practiced a whole bunch for like 6 months. So what is that, like 5 minutes solid if you add it all the times together, right? And she's not pregnant. And I'm like, what the heck? So we go get tested. Melissa goes first. Doctor says, baby making machine, good to go. My turn. Doctor results come back, and this is not how it was said, this is how I heard it. Hey, Steve, you know how you thought that job was so important? Your title, everything that you're chasing in this world, yeah? You thought that was so important? Mm-hmm. You're willing to risk your life, yeah? Well, guess what? Because of that choice you made back in June 2006, you don't get to be a dad. That's what I heard. Just, you know what's even worse? Now I got to go tell my wife. It was not a good day. But, found out about in vitro. Asked in vitro people, what are the chances of it working because of me? Said, not very good, but we'll take your money and try. And so, for anyone that doesn't know, it costs $15,000 per try. Zero commitment that it works. But because there's a chance, let's go. So we try. But I need to explain this in vitro because this, again, all because of choices and decisions we make in this room. That's why I'm going down this road. What they do is they elevate her hormones. You know how you do that? They give needles every single day. Remember what I said at the beginning? My wife is one of those that are on this end of the spectrum. She gets a needle, she passes out. So the first few weeks was tough. Needle in, she goes out. Needle in, she goes out. But before I could pay for this process, they make the husband sign a disclaimer. And this is what the 3-page document says in a few words for you. Steve, we're going to elevate your wife's hormones. Yeah. Steve, it is going to be like the time of the month times 1 trillion. Okay? Steve, whatever you do, don't call her names. Be her support. Sign here. So you sign. So now we do this 3-month cycle. And I'm going to tell you right now, that disclaimer didn't touch a candle of how crazy my wife was. Here's my best story for that one so you can back me on it. The last month of this cycle, you have to go for blood work. It was an hour from where we lived. So I did the supportive husband thing. You have to leave by 5 a.m. because the blood work has to be in by 6:30, I think, in the morning. So I'd make our coffee. She'd come down the stairs, rubbing her eyes. Here you go, sweetheart. Same thing like Groundhog Day. And we just kept doing it over and over again. This one morning, I make coffee. She comes down real tired. I go, here you go, sweetheart. She goes, thanks. And then she takes a sip. She goes, oh, forgot to tell you. What'd you forget to tell me? She goes, I bought us these new Starbucks cups for the road. I said, well, that's awesome. Thanks. She goes, you should try them out today. And I said, no, we'll do it tomorrow. She goes, no, try them right now. I said, babe, I do all the dishes. I don't want to clean 4 cups when I can clean 2 cups today. She's like, put it in the cup. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm over here trying to find the keys. And I turned around and said, which part of no don't you understand? Don't say that to your hormonal wife. And as I said that, it's like she predestined, she knew I was going to say something stupid. She grabbed a fork out of the cutlery drawer and baseball threw at my face. Hit me right above my glasses, stuck in my face. I pulled it back and I seen blood come down my nose. And I was like, you frickin'. And I almost said a bad word, but I couldn't because I signed that piece of paper. So she instantly starts crying. She's like, I'm sorry, it's not me. It's the hormones. I'd never throw a fork at you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm a loser husband. Oh my God, right? And then all of a sudden it was like this. Well, you deserved it anyway, you frickin' a-hole. And I was like, oh my God, welcome to my life. Why are we going down this long path? Because this is where it went. After that whole 3 months, $15,000. We're like, we've had so much bad news, we're ready for good news. And guess what happens? It doesn't work. So we go again, and we go again. And we went 7 or 8 times. It's not working. And why I went down this HR road, because this is important, guys and girls. Through that process, my wife is becoming more distant to me. And I realized through this, she's trying to make a decision. Do I stay with a man that can't give me kids? And do you blame her if she leaves? I don't. Because I made the choice for us. I thought that work stuff was more important than her. I took her ability to have kids with me away. Now, I don't know what I did to convince her to try one more time, but I got her to try one more time, and you know what happened? The best news of my life, I had my first baby girl born, my biological baby, and her name is Scarlett. And from that, I had Sydney. And guys, this is the part of the presentation where if you, especially if you have kids or have had kids, I should be able to say, hey guys, you have kids, be safe, drop the mic. But it doesn't work that way. Because it doesn't matter where I go, what work I tour, in which country I tour. I see people, and I'll even use that trench slide you had there. I was in New York like 4 or 5 months ago. There was like 15-foot vertical cut. It was only the width of the bucket. And the guy had to go put the 2 pipes and the coupler together. And he's down there and they're packing on top and you can see it like shaking. I pulled him out of there. First, he's like, I was almost done. What the F? First question I asked him, you got any kids, bud? Yeah, I have 4 daughters. That man is inadvertently saying that that pipe was more important than ever seeing his kids again. But I can tell you one person that isn't is me. See, I think the world's bigger than just myself now. See, I know my daughters need me as a coach, mentor, financial aid. I'm learning for a long time. But I also learned this. It's not about just today. And you know what's been the coolest thing? My kids have never watched me speak purposely because I don't think I can handle it. But I was right on one thing because I've been saying this for a long time. Because I'm thinking bigger than myself. My 10-year-old has become this little artist, and she has a little art room. And there's 3 photos that she's painted. You know what those photos are? There's a beach, her in a wedding dress because it says me, some dude that hasn't asked for my permission yet, and I can't beat him up, so I got guns. No joke. But guess who's right beside him? Me. You know how I know? It says DAD. I got to work safe and make smart choices for her so that one day I get to walk her down the aisle. So the world's not just about me anymore. So I work safe for them. Now, why did I just share all this stuff? See, this is, guys, we should all be able to relate. We all have our whys. They can be completely different or the exact same. But when you find your why, you find meaning. You find meaning, you find purpose, and you realize all these safety procedures, policies, OHS manuals, all these things that for some reason, when you don't do it because you want to, you do it because you have to, they're tough, they're annoying, they slow you down, you don't make as much money, all these things cloud your mind. But when you have your why, and you're doing it for you, you realize that those policies, procedures, things keep these pictures HD in your life. That's all it does. And I'll get people that say, well, hey, good job, Steve, but I don't work safe because I want to. I do it because I have to do it. I need this paycheck. Or I'm just a compliant person. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. You know why I don't believe you can just be a compliant person? This is why. After this meeting, if I said, hey, I don't know any of the exits here, but I'll make it up. Exit 35 down the road, there's a cop with a radar gun. Do you think any of you guys are going to speed by there? Probably not. Why? Because you're going to get caught. But I don't want to go after the people that know they're not going to do it because they'll get caught. I want the people, when you know you won't get caught, nobody's looking, what choice or decision will you make? And it's easier to make the right choice when you're leading with this and not this, because this can make you think almost anything. But you lead with this. You have your whys. So now I got to get to my challenge or takeaways, and I got to be done because I know I'm probably way too long. First one, identify comfortable moments. Here, seeing those slides earlier today, I'm glad I came when I did. Talking about the older generation or the more sophisticated, wiser group that has been getting hurt. Doesn't surprise me. Those stats kind of are the same in my business too. I call it being comfortable or complacent. How do I pick on all of you because I don't know any of you? Well, I'm going to try something. 0% is none of you. 100% is all of you. Percentage-wise, how many in this room probably, don't put up your hand though, please. You don't need to die on the sword. How many in this room probably text and drive? 0% of you guys do, all the way up to 100%, or in the middle. Where do you guys think you fall? We got at least one honest man in this room. Anyone else, just in case you think it's lower than 100? How about this? Anyone believe her, 40%? Okay, so I heard 85, 140. Let's just say it's a big number. You agree with that number? Right? This is where I want you to put up your hand. Put up your hand if for the first time in your life, so right now, today, right now on this stage, you're learning something new. That texting and driving kills people every day. Did I teach you something new? Do y'all know that already? Y'all knew that, right? So this is the real question. Why do y'all do it knowing that it kills people every single day? Now this is where you won't answer. I've learned this. So let's talk about the rest of the people outside of this room. Why do human beings text and drive knowing that it kills, injures, dismembers people every day? Why do they do it? Throw them under the bus. It won't happen to me, so there's more Steve Howes in the world. Woo! Shocking, right? Okay. Here's an interesting thought. Parents in the room? Yeah, you? When your kids start driving, already driving, can they text and drive? Yes or no? Why? It's dangerous. Okay, but how is it dangerous for them and not you? What do you have that they don't? Oh, experience. Love that word. Experienced men or women of this crowd. This is where I need everyone to be paying attention. You got to listen to the words carefully. Experienced men or women of this room. Put up your hand if you've never made a mistake as an experienced man or woman. Oh, we got one, JC right here. Not even that fit. I just made that up and you even got the pretty beard. You never made a mistake in your life. Okay, so he didn't listen. So he has made a mistake. So there is no JCs in the house. So can experience save you every time? So my question is, why are you doing it? This is where I believe we're getting too comfortable with ourselves. We're doing it forever. Nothing's ever happened to me. We probably all remember the first time we heard that it hurts or kills people. And when texting became a thing, you probably all were like me. Because I'm not saying I didn't do it. You could go like this. Right? And you kept doing that. And eventually, you could go, right? And the time got longer and longer. Pretty soon you're doing paragraphs without even looking up. That's getting too comfortable. My question is this, though. How are we all going to get it? Do we all need to be that story? Right? We all know the story. It's where you text. And let's actually break this down for a second. Texting is what? Sending or receiving a message, right? Sending or receiving a message, which is what? Words compounded together to create a sentence. That's what it is. And every time you do it, you're willing to sacrifice your life or someone else's for some words, some content on a phone. If you actually break it down, that's what we're doing. Or use me as an example. Me never walking Sydney down the aisle over some content on a phone. But do we all need to learn the hard way? And this is the hard way, right? You go, screw you, Steve, don't care. I always text drive, never been hurt, so I'm going to keep doing it. And you go, and it's your boss, so it's pretty important. And all of a sudden you hear thump, a scream, you look, the kid goes over your roof, over the back, and you go, oh shit. You run back there, you're holding them, they're choking on their blood, and they die in your arms. And then you go, oh my God, now I get it. Do we all need to learn that way to figure it out that it's dangerous? The hope is you don't. But my challenge today for this is this. That's just being comfortable. You're comfortable with yourself, you're comfortable with your vehicles, right? Our vehicles can pretty much drive, or can drive themselves now almost, or can. We're getting too comfortable with ourselves. You need to identify those moments in your life and do something about it. Right? I pick on Ironmen all the time. Ironmen think they don't fall. That's why they don't need to tie off until they do. They're getting too comfortable with what they're doing. So how do you combat that? Well, for me, I'm a human. I have important messages. You know what I do is when I fly home, just like this trip, I'm going to fly home, and when I land, I have an iPhone. It sucks. It always is dead. But when I land, I get to my truck, I plug it in because it needs to be charged. I put it inside my console, shut it. Does that mean I'm disconnected from the world? I hope we say no. Because I have this thing, it's called my girlfriend, I call her Siri. And I press the steering wheel column, and you know what it says? Yes, master. I programmed it, it's pretty cool. The only person that calls me master on this earth. And she goes, or what would you like? I say text, who would you like to text? Wife, what would you like to say? Sweetheart, just landed safe, we'll be home in 30 minutes, I love you. The difference is my eyes are on the road and I'm not looking down at my damn phone. That's how I'm combating it personally. That's not the resolution for everybody, but that's what I've done. I've identified it and I'm doing something about it. Next one, understand this never take shortcut thought is before you met me and I seen you on the grade, I say, hey, what's the worst that's going to happen? You know what most of you'd say? I'd get hurt. I'd get killed. Everything would be about you. The hope is today, through this, you realize the world's not just about you. Because I'm telling you right now, if you die today, that's the easy part. It's us trying to do this world without you. That's harder. That missing dinner plate. That missing person in the photo. I am telling you, I've lived it. That is harder than you not being here. And when you think of the risk versus the reward when you take a shortcut, what are the rewards when you take a shortcut? We get done a little sooner. Maybe your boss gives you an attaboy. They're pretty insignificant things. When you think of the risk isn't just you getting hurt or getting killed. Because right now, if I just said, hey, guess what? Bam, you're quadriplegic. Who's looking after you? Whoever you're picturing right now in your mind that's going to look after you is most likely the one that will. Do you think that's what they signed up for? Probably not. See, the risks outweigh the reward every time. Next one, understand why your team wants to work safe. I just encourage you, if you've just been doing this world, working for this company, doing it because you have to do it because the safety guy says it or WorkSafe tells you, you got to find it for yourself, man, because I used to work safe just because I had to, and look where that got me. No one was looking. You got to find it here. Next one, see something, say something, do something. I see that you guys do this too. Where I find this works is when you have your why, you feel compelled because you know the next guy or girl beside you has whys too. That when you see them doing something unsafe or wrong or see an unsafe condition, you want to stop, you want to correct it and do something about it. Because the ripple isn't just about you. It gets huge. But you need to have that why first, and then it makes complete sense and it just becomes second nature to you. The next one, and I'm done, I promise. I know I'm probably over, but I'm going to leave you with this concept of believing. And it starts with a 4-second story. When I was in the hospital, and it came to me over the years that someone asked me this question, did you ever just lose it in the hospital? Did you ever just cry profusely and just lose it? And the answer was once, yes. And it was the day I got put in a room to do a nerve conductive test on my legs when they put them back together. And what they told me was going to happen is a bunch of needles were going to go in my toes, my ankles, my knees, and they're going to send current through it and all this stuff. And so I get brought into this room. I have a collar still so I could just see the roof. She is full of energy and talking away heard all about me in the hospital and blah, blah, blah. And then 20 minutes later, she's like, okay, we're all done. And then I said, wait. I was told you're going to do some crazy, painful things like needles. She's like, yeah, I already did all that. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, I did that while we were talking. I said, but nurse, I didn't feel that. And then the room just got small. She goes, I know that's the problem. I'm like, what's the problem? She goes, Steve, this is the easiest way to explain it to you. You have a television, you have a cable box, you need an HDMI cord to create picture. The HDMI cord is missing, so you won't get picture. And again, I go, what does that mean? I'm 22. I'm like, I have no idea what that means. And they said, Steve, been doing this 23 years. And unfortunately, because that HDMI cord is missing, the nerve, that you're never going to be able to walk again. The room closed in, and I just wept and cried and cried. And in that moment, I felt like I had to make a decision when I was starting to feel sorry for myself. And I had to pick a door. This is the easiest way to illustrate it. This is what the doors I had to pick. Door 1, I feel sorry for myself and accept defeat. Never going to walk again. We've all heard or seen someone go down this road, have we not? And it's not their fault. But you know why? It's just easier to go that road. I know it because I almost went there. Door number 2. Hey, I'll do whatever you tell me, nurses and doctors. You told me I'm never going to walk again, so I'll accept my wheelchair. I'll live a status quo life and just keep doing the motion. Pick that door. And you can. We're allowed to. It's our choice. Or door 3. Door 3 is, I believe the nurses and doctors don't control our destiny and have the final say. We do. We do. If I want to walk again, I'm going to freaking do it. And I'll tell you, as you clearly have seen, I chose door number 3. And it wasn't like the next day, Tony Robbins' speech, guys, just believe. And I stood up and I started walking. Far from. It was an 18-year journey. And it started power wheelchair, manual wheelchair, locking braces with crutches. And it went up all the way to last January when I finally took my last brace off, left the parallel bars, and took my first step. But it all started with a belief that I could do it. Now, how does that apply to you? Because hopefully none of you guys get cut in half. I took this belief at work. And this is where I want to say I just checked while we were doing this, and I seen the stats for Ontario. I was there in January. And I left them with the same thought process. And I challenged them all like I'm going to challenge you. The company I work for, has been in business for 135 years. In 135 years, they've never done a slip operation recordable free. Never been done. And they do like 900 million man hours. They're a 75,000 staff company. And when I was tasked to be the safety manager for this job, we had to do 5 slips. I went, oh my God, we're going to have recordables. And as we were sitting in the planning meetings, I felt like I had this same decision to make as one of the managers on that job. And what we were doing, to give you an idea, there's going to be 200 people on that deck, 200 on the ground. We're going to jack up those silos that are 140 feet tall when they're done, 80 feet wide each. We're going to jack them up, and every hour, whether the computer just jacks it up, whether you've tied the rebar or not, it just goes. So time is kind of crazy. And in that moment, I felt like the same 3 doors, I had to make a decision as one of the managers there, and I said this, hey guys, stop. We got to pick a door. Door 1 is, we're going to step to feet. Each one of these slips, we're probably going to have recordables and hurt people. It is what it is. It's never been done, so it can't be done. Door number 2, we'll follow all of our initiatives and programs our company and corporate office tell us to do, but at the end of the day, we don't control who gets hurt. We can pick that door too. Or door number 3, I first believe, as one of the managers who will be on that grade every single day while this pour is happening, that I will find the way to work safe every minute of every hour for me. That everyone around me can work safe and injury-free every day. That job, my district, my business unit. But it starts with a belief. And I asked that team, and they all agreed. They think and believe you can work injury and injury-free through any job. So we took that belief into our planning. We took that belief into our execution. And we ended up doing slip 1, slip 2, slip 3, recordable free. But at this point, we've had a lot of first aids, a lot of tie wire pokes, concrete burns, etc. But we're in the Kiewit magazines. We're on top of the world, right? Best job ever, all that stuff. But we weren't satisfied because we had to still do the 240-foot building, the cleaning tower. And we looked at our stats and we're like, we're hurting people still. So we said, you know what? We should be able to do this instant injury free with no first aids. Nobody gets hurt. And our management team believed that, but you know what? We said we're not going to do it alone. So we pulled all 600 craft in the room and asked them the same question. Do you believe we can actually do that 4th building without a scratch in this room? Do you believe that? Because if you don't believe it, we're not going to do it. And they all said yes. And I said, well, okay, that's great. You all said yes. How are we going to do it? When we got all their feedback, and we ended up, if I go back a slide, they said the next ones we should have pool noodles and all the pinch points and the parts where we're getting scratched. And there was a bunch of stuff. I was like, really, you think that's going to work? Okay, if that's what you believe, let's do it. And I want to tell you, that was an 11-day estimated job, around the clock, 24 hours a day. We did it in 9 days, and we did it injury and incident free. But it started with the belief that we could do it. It was a team effort. So here's my challenge, and I'm done. I know he's like, hurry up, Steve. I feel like you have a door you could choose today. Door 1. Thanks for coming out, Steve. Thanks to the company for putting on these quarterly meetings. But we're going to accept defeat. We're in a high-risk industry. People get hurt. It is what it is. Pick your door. That's your choice, man. Door 2. We'll follow all the initiatives and policies and procedures that you guys have in door 2. But at the end of the day, we don't control our destiny. We don't control nothing. Whoever gets hurt, it's just the luck of the draw. That's your door. Pick it. Or door 3, you first believe, the people sitting in these chairs right now, that you can go to work tomorrow, minute by minute, hour by hour, work injury and incident free. The people around you, this job, this team. But it starts with the belief. And why I'm saying this, guys, it's not just a slogan. If I didn't believe I could walk again, and I just gave up, I would have still come to this top presentation. You know what would have been different, though? I would have had a ramp built, and I would have come here in my power wheelchair that I started out in. But I believed if I put everything I got into it, at some day, at some moment, I'll be able to stand here vertically. And it started with the belief. So with that, I just want to thank you all, and I'm sorry if I went way over. But have a safe, you know what? You guys can beat Antera's ass. It just takes all of you together. I want to come back, or at least want a snapshot after that your frickin' record's better than theirs. Yeah? There you go. You need this?
Thanks a lot, Steve. Yeah, it was a great story, and I'm going to touch on that. Let's believe in our free safety, free hazard workplace for our Black and Mcdonald team. In the sake of the time, I'm going to skip the part for Ishan regarding the garage. I'm going to jump into the HR. So Shahara she's going to do the presentation for HR, and is going to look into the employee surveys. Thanks, Shahara. Please welcome Shahara. Sorry. Is it working? Mic is on?
You can take it off. That turns on. Yep. Right here.
Testing.
Just minor adjustments here, guys.
Is that good? Promise? Promise? Okay. They didn't have a clock, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, we're a little bit short on time.
I don't think they charge you overtime here.
Okay, guys. I know you guys have been sitting a long time, and some have already started standing up. So let's just do this really quick, and then we'll get into what's actually on that slide. Can we have the new hires? Any new hires in this room who've started with us or recently joined Black and McDonald? Can we have you guys just stand where you are? Interns included. Anyone here in those categories? I think Steve mentioned in his address about his daughter and the room and reward and recognition. So that's a part of our employee engagement here. So I just want to welcome all of you guys and those interns who are wrapping up. I hope you had a good experience. So we're going to flip over to engagement survey results for our division. Anyone know when this happened? Anyone know when you filled it out? Anyone remember? April. Yay. So now it's August. And I'm going to just remind everyone what those questions were and how you guys did. Anyone know what your engagement results were last year? It's not a pop quiz. Chuck, come on. No, I'm kidding. So your overall engagement score, and I know I have to keep going on this so you guys can see what I'm saying, is 69%. So guys, I want everyone and gals, everyone to stand up, this time everyone, and I want you to give yourself a round of applause. Don't be scared, stand up. And because you guys went up 20%. Okay? And look to your neighbor and say, good job. So 20% increase is phenomenal, okay, in 1 year. And the activities that went around getting there, this one is one of them, right? We have newsletters, we have employee activities, we have training and development initiatives. We've had numerous employee events that have happened between last year and this year, and a lot of focus has gone on communication between employees and managers to get there. Am I offline? Nope. So going forward, key takeaways. Some of the things that came out of this year's survey is many employees find that the work atmosphere is great, so yay. There's a need for more role-specific training and education to help employees adapt and grow within the company. So that is kind of what is our job, how do we do it, who do we do it with, and what resources can we get to do our jobs better. That's really what that means. Better planning and manpower means, you know, when we're kind of heading into busy times and you can hear kind of the different businesses and projects we're getting, it's important for us to sit around and understand who we need in the right positions at the right time and how we get there. So that takes teamwork and that takes communication across many, many departments so that we can be in line, so we can make sure you guys in this room are supported. Suggestions including improving communication, standardizing processes are some comments that came out of the survey as well. And some employees feel that there's a gap between women and diversity, and more efforts towards inclusion need to be on the radar of the organization, not just sour. So you will see a little bit more heightened efforts around some of the areas that we feel need development. So as you guys go around your day-to-day jobs, and I know today we talked about safety, it's also important to kind of reflect on the environment in which you work and how much you contribute to not just your environment, but the experience of others around you as well. So very similar to safety in terms of, you know, it's not just about you, it's about how you affect everyone around you. And so this is just a really quick pictorial. I hope you can see the little words. Not sure if you can. But areas such as working environment, culture, these are all things that we had really minor changes in. So these are things we're doing well, and we want to continue doing well. And then at the bottom there, we have communication across departments, work-life balance being areas we need to put a little bit more focus on, understand what that means from all of you, and you know, see if we can help that along a little bit. So really not here to talk about too many actions right now, because these results just came out, but you will be probably here around your divisions, maybe even on the sites, kind of asking your opinion on what you want to see to kind of tackle these areas as we go forward. So that's it, and I'll call Huma up just to do some recognition activities as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Shahara. I was awesome. I'm going to run through some of the stuff. I don't really have an agenda. Hi, everyone. A lot of people who don't know me, I am Huma Nasir. I support Southern Ontario Utility Region. I'm your HR generalist. If you don't know me, I'm the person who you reach out to when things go sideways. I'm going to go through some activities, but due to the time, I'm going to skip through that, and I'm going to go straight to the service awards. Some of you might have received an email from me. I tried sending it yesterday, it didn't go through, so I sent it this morning as well. Anybody who's receiving a service award by reaching a milestone, you would have received that email. Normally, as you know, the processes you would come up, but since we're in the middle of changing our vendor from William Recognition to OC Tanner, we're still in the process. We haven't completely agreed upon certain things. That's why there's a delay. I still want to recognize everyone, but the service awards that you would usually give out physically on a quarterly meeting will be sent over straight to your house addresses. So I'll keep you guys posted. If you have any questions on that, you know where to find me. call me, text me, or just walk by. And then you know where I sit in Pullman. So I'm just going to go through some service awards. I would like to recognize these milestones. I'm going to start off at 5 years. When I say your name, please stand up if you're here. We're going to clap because that's fun. And then we're going to go to 10 years, 15 years, and so on and so forth. So starting off with 5 years. Let's mess this up. Oh, look at that. So can I have Tyler, and I'm so sorry if I'm going to butcher your name. My apologies ahead of time. Tyler Ludgate. I'm going to put the names up there as well. Riley Ponte. Is Riley here? No? Belinda Dean. Belinda's not here? Okay. Mark Borgia. Come on, Mark's not here? I thought I saw him. James Chirkop. James Chirkop. Wow. Scott Dorman. Right. Well, those are the 5-year awards. Let me just skip back to it. So congratulations to all the people, because there's a live feed going on as well. So if any of you guys have any questions, reach out to me, please. We're going to move up to 10 years. And I'm going to kind of go through it a bit faster. If you hear your name, once again, please stand up. Andy McKay. Michael Haynes. Does that mean he's here? Okay, no, I just got excited. Gaetano Tarantini. Oh. Joshua Guilfoy. Lake. Okay, stand up. Thank you, Lake. Chad Simpson. Brendan. Thank you. Joseph Miles. Colin Young. Wesley Mello. Kevin Gibson. Brian Hazelton. Walker Essex. John Interbertolo, Michael Nagales, Justin Guilfoy, Cody Hulen, and I'm putting a pause there just so I can get Jason's attention. Jason Correa? Oh my God, I thought that was, you're Kalea. My apologies. See, HR makes mistakes. So congratulations to everybody for 10 years. Round of applause for everyone for 10 years. 20 years big. Rob Eastman and Marco Noguera. "25 years, I got James Jordan and Ken McDonald. Congratulations, last but not least, our General Manager for Transportation, Afra. Congratulations for being with us for 10 years. Really big, so I wanted to kind of put a separate slide for you, so congratulations. Thank you very much, everyone, and apologies again for butchering your name. I'm going to pass this back to Afra to wrap this up, I believe. And until I see you guys next quarter, have a wonderful time. Take care.
Thanks. Okay, so quickly looking to the regional updates. We committed to supporting Habitat for Humanity, GTA, for 3 more years. It's such a great commitment for our team. This initiative helps the families obtain their dream of home ownership. The team build days allow volunteers to have a direct impact on the building process. What other charities or initiatives you'd like to engage in, please let us know, and we're going to get through that. The next big event for us this year was the Black and Mcdonald hockey tournament. Unfortunately, we lost to the champion in the semifinal. The champion was Ottawa Capitals. Mike Clark promised us, and he's going to put a good team in place for next year. So definitely we're going to go for the championship. It was such a great event for the company. 250 employees and 250 players participate in that event. We raised $10,000, and Black and Mcdonald matched the same number, so the total was $21,000. But the most important one is the last one, which was our golf tournament. Took place on June 1st, and it was a perfect day. It was such a great tournament. I'm sure everyone knows, like, whenever that email is coming out from HR, in the next couple of hours, the tournament is fully booked and there's no chance to get a spot over there. So it was such a great success for our team, with the employee raising $6,200 for the Durham Family Advisory Board. It was big thanks to all the volunteers for that event. Some recent wins and updates. Toronto Hydro Line Division, Taryn and his team, they secured a grid response contract value $7,500,000 on an annual basis. It's such a great work for our team. Another great success with Toronto Hydro, Technical Service Group, Argent team. They secured another contract with Toronto Hydro on the metering contract. That's worth $10 million. Newmarket Hydro, we secured that project for Jason's group, $4 million. And substation team, they're working on another project. Hopefully they can secure that one shortly, and worth for $90 million. And on the transportation team, I'm not going to go through that. So lots of great success on that team. Good projects coming out to our pipeline, and we're going to see more success story on the next quarterly meeting. The next one is the price, so we're going to do the price. Maybe, Chuck, do you want to pick the first one? $461195. $461195. No?